I'm just looking at the next, which is Man. Or you still want to say something to?
No. I think we finished off
Yeah,
we
there's
finished
so
it
many
off quite
themes.
nicely. Yeah, Man. Yeah, I wanted to say that. Okay, so for Man, I wanted to say that there's no actual narrative here, but there is. It's about his experience as a journalist during the Spanish Civil War. He talks about those soldiers he's with, and from there he goes on to explain the concepts of like personal truths,
Mm-hmm.
and then takes it to an even more general conversation about his beliefs about humanity, his worldview, to then conclude again with a very specific example, when he talks about those Polish migrant workers which are being sent back home, and he analyzes a child he sees to make his final statement for the book.
Yeah, I think on these are basically the last 20 pages of the book, or 15 or so.
Yeah,
And he becomes very direct on these pages. I think this is the point where I, as a reader, started catching the steam, where I could really like he was just pumping all his thoughts on me, like each page, each page. Um,
but like what
I have a question to you.
yeah.
There's a part about gazelle, the animals that are captured in
Gazelles, yeah.
gazelles. Yeah, they are captured in the small prison or cell, whatever it is. Um, and it's a quite long descriptive story about our description how they are tamed, how they stay, but one day they sort of want to escape, go to the desert, and then we know what they sort of want, and we need to let them free, stuff like that. I'm not summarizing it well, but what do you think about this paragraph?
Oh, it's again about a personal truth. Like he tells you that they will stand at the fence and they will want to escape, and he talks about the truth of the gazelle um, being like the to run away, like this danger, this fear for your life, running away of the predator,
Mm-hmm.
and they're basically coming to your highest form, um, and like even this death by the predator, he writes like the your skull being split open. It's I think like these are almost exactly his words, that this is also the truth of the gazelle, like he makes this point about everybody having their personal truth, and about everybody having to follow their personal truth. He also talks about the personal truth of the soldier, um, and I found that part. Or do you want to add something?
No. I do agree what you're saying. Yeah.
And I find that part about the personal truth of the soldier quite interesting. And he talks about um, camaraderie between soldiers, which is a value he himself really appreciates. And
I'm back to camaraderie again.
exactly, I mean, it's even the name of one of the chapters. So he basically acknowledges the truth of like their existence, of their lifestyle, but he then becomes very critical of how war works in the modern world,
Mm-hmm.
um, which is interesting because when he writes that, he doesn't really criticize war in itself. He basically says that it transformed from a thing where you shed a few drops of blood to animate the spirits of a nation or whatever, to something where you just kill immense amounts of humans.
Yeah, and
No
yeah,
purpose whatsoever. So it's not really a critique of war. It's a critique of the way modernity has transformed war. And he even criticizes like what planes, what air warfare did to the nature of war, and also what gas attacks did to the nature of war, which is something which happened like during his lifetime, just like not even 2 decades before he wrote this book.
yeah, he was there to witness it, and warfare, the fighting was of a noble thing. What did you say?
He didn't serve. He wanted to, but he didn't serve. The war was over before he.
I mean, I said like he witnessed it, like that he lived in those times when these changes.
Yeah, he lived through those times. Yeah.
And from historical point of view, warfare before modernization and presumably industrialization, which are things pretty much intertwined, not necessarily. Going into war and fighting for your country, your state, your village, whatever, was a noble thing. It was something. I mean, it's still noble, but it was done by people, by knights, who were sort of selected, who were to go and fight. You didn't have a baker, or I don't know, whatever, some profession from a village going to fight back then.
You did. I think you have a very romanticized vision.
No. Like in the Middle Ages.
Yeah, it was like a lot of like farmers who were basically forced to fight.
Okay, that's something else. But
that was the base of every army. It was like
maybe said like complete bullshit. But
what?
The way what I'm trying to say, based on the sources that I read, it was a noble thing done by knights. I'm not saying that those professions were not fighting, but it wasn't so generalized as in World War I and World War II, that you would have like everyone fighting. Like you certainly didn't have women fighting.
Yeah, but you also didn't have women fighting in World War I, World War II.
Yeah, but you had them in the
probably a few, but like not on a grand scale.
Yeah, but okay, let me say it in a different way. In the Middle Ages, mostly when you had a fight, it happened somewhere on a field. Bunch of guys went there to kill each other. No.
I don't know, like to just continue, but
what I'm trying to say that it was
very romanticized.
That it was disconnected from like those villages and stuff.
Huh?
That it was disconnected from villages and places like that.
Wait, how do you think 1/3 of the German population died during the 30 Years' War?
Okay, that's a fair point. Then I need to check my sources because,
like, they ransacked cities, they burned cities down, they raped people, they killed civilians.
Then I completely had the brain fuck. Okay, let's forget this one. Anyways.
Yeah, no worries. Like, I think you.
No. I don't know where I read it. What I read. I don't even know what I'm trying to say right now.
No, I think you just had a very romanticized vision.
No, I don't. I just went on to a claim that I read somewhere and wanted to make an argument based on it. And I don't even know where but anyways, let's just forget this. We're gonna cut this out. But anyways, shall we move on?
Right. But I find it actually interesting, and maybe we shouldn't cut it out because
no, we're gonna cut it out.
I think maybe not to the same extent, but in a way, he also romanticizes war maybe a bit too much, or maybe he, in comparison to like the industrialized warfare of the First World War.
Oh yeah, that's what I was trying to say. Okay.
Which happened during his lifetime. I think in comparison to that, he romanticizes the old way of waging war a bit.
Yeah.
But in general, he's saying then again later that he disapproves of war in general.
Yeah.
Pretty fit.
Okay. No, I remembered my point. My point was
Okay.
that it was a noble thing to die in a war. Like, okay, let me just follow on this one. Just follow me on this one.
Okay.
In the Middle Ages, when you had your sword or whatever, and you were fighting on the field, you stood against one guy, let's say, and you had this fight, and you just went there to whatever, beat him up, win, whatever. Noble thing. Yeah, great. What changes in the World War One or World War Two is that you have like machines and tanks, and you can just throw a grenade across whatever streets and kill 5 people, and you do not know who you killed. It just becomes this mass thing of destruction. There's no contact. It's just automated process in which, and that might be very romanticized, the idea of nobility, of standing one-on-one disappears.
Yeah, but I think it actually fits also with a story he tells in the book. I don't remember if it was in this chapter or earlier. It could have been earlier. Do you remember the story about like this very isolated outpost in the desert where you have like tribes on both sides of it?
Yeah.
And like you had one of the tribes as a guest for tea at this outpost, and then the other tribe attacked. So that tribe, like the officer at the outpost, like wanted to like get them out to safety, but they said, no, we are your guest, and like on this day we will fight with you. So they fought with them, and later they requested to get ammunition back because they used up that ammunition in defense of like that outpost. So he gave them that ammunition even though he knew they would use it for the next attack. And I think it's probably that sense of nobility you're mentioning, like a sense of honor and a sense of knowing your enemy and having respect for the enemy.
And also, fighting in wars in the Middle Ages, and we don't know, it's been a long time, might have been more of a personal experience. Killing someone is a horrible thing. It changes you. I never done it, but I can imagine it does. Luckily, I've never done that, and hopefully I'll never do it.
I mean, you could give us your first-hand experience.
I definitely could do that. Like, come here, can someone? No. When you kill someone by your hand, I think it has a tremendous impact on you. And in that sense, there's this. What?
Are you sure it's not your first-hand experiences?
You know what I'm trying to say? Killing a human being is a terrible thing that changes your character, it changes everything about you. And it's way different when you do it, let's say, with a sword in your hand, than if you just press a button on a machine and it does something. It just becomes easier, and you become disconnected from the act itself.
Yeah, it's a form of alienation.
In the industrialized world. And I think that as much as murder is bad and war, he's still pushing Exupéry, the first-hand experience. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
And in that view, he would probably not support, but like criticize mass destruction because it's so alienated. And it really enables us to go on such tremendous scale of killing thousands of people because you do not realize it. When you just send a nuke somewhere, it's just a press of a button, which I can do here on my computer. If you were to kill 1,000 people with a sword, that would just...
It would be a lot of work for sure.
It would be a lot of work, but mentally, it would just destroy you. There probably was never anyone in history that would kill by themselves 1,000 people. I'm not talking about generals that send their army to kill someone. I'm talking about a single person that killed over 1,000 people.
Maybe some like really mad monarch or tyrant who
was just like slaying heads every day. Maybe that happened, but it requires a lot of time.
You would not even have to do it every day for 3 years, and you.
Okay, If you do that, okay, sure, it's possible. But it will take you 3 years. Now you can delete 1,000 people within 5 seconds.
That would be quite difficult with sword, yeah.
Yeah, and that's what I'm trying to say. The experience itself becomes detached from you as a human being. Okay, that's a strange discussion, but okay. Shall we move on to the last chapter?
Wait, we are talking about the last chapter.
Oh, it's the last chapter. Oh, I thought there was still something.
No.
It becomes very economic. I don't think it's globalization.
I think it's more philosophical, isn't it?
It's very political and philosophical. It's against globalization to some extent. Because he talks about people being ripped out of their homeland and their small homes and family lives and stuff like that.
Not really out of their homeland, because like out of the homes they made themselves, like within a few years. That's now the very last part of the book, end of this chapter you're talking about, with like the Polish migrants in France. And they have built up their existences, their lives there in the mining communities, have like homes and flowers and animals, and now they're being sent home and they only take pots and pans with them. So it's I don't really think it's about globalization, because he really sympathizes with those migrants, you know?
Yeah, but like he talks about economic currents that torn away people from their little houses.
Yeah, but he doesn't criticize the currents which brought them to France. He criticizes the currents which led to them being sent away. So,
but those might be the same currents.
Like maybe the same current that then reversed, but yeah. So I don't think he's against migration or anything like that. He's
no. I meant like economic globalization.
Yeah, but like, isn't that also what drove those migrants to go there in the first place?
Okay, fair point.
So I think it was mainly because he really values the things you built up. Like he also often used the example of a gardener and stuff like that. So when they made their homes, when they had their flower pots, which he even describes, when they had their animals, and